What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. The clip I'm about to show you, or the article and the clip that I'm going to show you, goes to show how the mainstream media flipping the switch just in time for the midterm elections that are coming up. And we've heard a lot of nonsense, right? And people have such a short term memory span that all they can remember is what's happening currently. So, lest they forget what has been caused by these individuals, and this is not exclusive to one party. This is all parties, Republican or Democrat. So don't get them twisted because they both do it. But you got to remember the people that are involved in this because they're all one and the same, two wings of the same bird. This is Dr. quote unquote Leana Wen that says the science has changed and so has all the restrictions, including mask mandates, which she calls for to be rescinded. And here is a clip of her talking about it.
Do you agree with the move?
I do. There was and is a time and place for pandemic restrictions, but when they were put in, it was always with the understanding that they would be removed as soon as we can. And in this case, circumstances have changed. Case counts are declining. Also, the science has changed. We know that vaccines protect very well against Omicron, which is the dominant variant. Everyone 5 and older have widespread access to vaccines. And we also know about one-way masking, the idea that even if other people around you are not wearing masks, if you wear a high-quality mask, that also protects you, the wearer, too. And so in this case, I'm not saying, I don't think anyone really is saying that no one should ever wear masks, but rather that the responsibility should shift from a government mandate imposed from the state or the local district of the school. Rather, it should shift to an individual responsibility by the family, who can still decide that their child can wear a mask if needed.
Take New Jersey, the case in New Jersey, for instance. Their new case average is just over 4,000. Is that an acceptable number to do this, or are they projecting out to March 7th at this point?
I don't think we should be looking at case counts at all at this point, especially when we're dealing with a milder variant and when so many people were exposed to Omicron and therefore have at least some level of protection either through vaccination or immunity. The key number that we should be looking at is hospitalizations. If our ICUs and hospitals in that particular region are not overwhelmed, if they're not over capacity, we can set a number, for example, 75% or 80% full, then we should be able to relax all restrictions. And I actually believe that we should be starting to, with the first restriction removed, should actually be the restriction on children. Because while for adults, you could say, well, what's the harm of adults masking when they go into a grocery store? There actually is a harm that we should be discussing of children continuing to mask. That doesn't mean that masking doesn't have its place for children when there are very high rates of hospitalization. If we get a new variant in the future that children are particularly susceptible to, we may want to bring masks back. But we should also be intellectually honest and say that masking has had a cost, especially for the youngest learners, people with English as a second language, children with learning disabilities. There has been a cost to them. So the risk-benefit calculation has really changed.
There you have it. And this is the same individual who was calling for, I believe, that if you didn't have the medicine, you wouldn't be able to drive on roads. You wouldn't be able to have basic rights. I remember this was a couple months ago where she was very adamant that all our basic rights should be stripped away from us. And she didn't even call driving on the road a right. She said, you don't deserve to have that at all. And wow, has her tune changed. And so you got to keep this perspective of individuals. Don't have that short-term memory. You got to realize what the fruit that they bear, right? You know a tree by its fruit. So just because all of a sudden they start having a positive narrative, that doesn't mean that you're going to go and follow it, right? You got to see an individual's body of work. And so here is the article describes what I was just saying, that she was advocating for the administration to restrict the activities of those who did not have the medicine. And she said to restrict people's social freedoms. Let's see. And it goes on and on. But that's the point. And I feel for her in the sense of, why does she do this? You know? She's flip-floppity. Maybe she's getting paid under the table. I don't know. But integrity, folks. Integrity. And that is something we should all strive for. Because that is what determines a lot about an individual. In tough times or in good times, your integrity is very important. And we're not perfect. We all have our downfalls, right? But we should strive to make sure we have integrity. I guess that's the lesson from the video of today. Integrity. So anyways, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.